It wore my buddy's skin like a fucking hoodie, eyelids and all. We were 4 deep in the Colorado mountains. Me, reluctant and hungover. Jonah, nature-loving Zen freak. Reese, a hardcore REI junkie. And Mara, Jonah's girl, type A, razor sharp. You know the type. Trip was Mara's idea. Detox hike, digital fast. You know, great outdoors will fix everything bullshit. We were about 5 hours in and 10 miles up a mountain when the trees started to thin out. Not only that, they also gradually changed. From massive trunks standing tall and strong to trees with branches that were bent at weird angles, as if something prevented them from towering into the sky. Then Jonah found it. A clearing. We were all begging for a break by then, so we stopped. That's when Reese found a pile of stacked stones, just sitting there in the middle of the clearing. Nothing about them was particularly strange, but I didn't like the feeling I got when I saw them. But Reese, being the absolute legend of dumbassery that he is, kicked them over. Like an idiot, I gasped, not knowing entirely why. All I knew was that it was obvious that those stones were placed there by someone, for a reason. And you just didn't go kicking shit just because. But nothing happened. The ground didn't shake. There was no hand that broke through the pile of rocks. But I still couldn't shake off the feeling in the pit of my stomach that we should get out of there. No one else seemed to care. They were all busy setting up camp, tired from the day's hike. At around midnight, as we sat around the popping fire, swapping stories and filling up on snacks, the wind stopped, dead still, like someone hit pause on the world. It wasn't a gradual thing. The silence was deafening and we all knew something was wrong. Then we heard it. A voice. Not loud, barely there.
One skin, one survives.
Then something oozed out of the shadows. Tall, faceless, wrapped in skin stretched so tight it was almost translucent, like shrink wrap over raw meat. I tried to move, but I couldn't. It was like I was rooted there, just staring. We all were. It slithered up to Jonah, all liquid as if there were no joints in its body, and touched his chest. Jonah screamed. I couldn't see why he would be making that god-awful noise. Nothing was happening to him. He was just sitting there screaming. I could actually hear his voice cracking when he fell unconscious. And just like that, we all blacked out. When I blinked awake, I thought it was a dream. That was until we saw Jonah the next morning. His skin was just gone, peeled like a fucking banana. Everything on full display in the harsh light of the morning. Glistening muscle and sinew is what was left. We were all backing away when something snapped behind us. I whirled around. That thing wore Jonah's skin like it rented it for the weekend. It wore his face over its head, the eyelids fluttering like sheets hung out to dry. Even Jonah's fucking man bun. But nothing moved right. Limbs too stiff, eyes too wide. It smiled without blinking. Mara puked. We ran. That's when we saw them. Messages as we ran past tree after twisted tree. The rules burned into the bark all around us. One must offer skin. One shall live. Night fell all too soon. We knew we had to keep going. Had to find a way out and get help. Finally, we saw a campfire. Relief flooded through me. With a burst of energy, we ran towards it. And as we sprinted out of the tree line, on the other side was the clearing. And standing in front of the fire was that thing. Reese cracked first. He dropped to his knees, cut his arm, and offered it up. It didn't work. The thing stared at him and lit him on fire. No warning. Just whoosh. Reese screaming, his flesh bubbling off like barbecue gone wrong. Mara and I were the last ones standing. One of us had to skin ourselves raw for the other to live. We tried to run again, but we didn't get far. The The mountain closed around us and spit us back into the clearing again and again. It was just us and the game. We sat in silence as the thing stood there waiting, holding a knife made of bone. It hummed like it was enjoying the tension. Mara broke the silence. "I'll do it." I shook my head. There had to be another way. She took the knife, smiled a sad smile, then stabbed me in the side.
If you die first, you won't feel it.
The red-hot pain made me fall on my back. She pinned me, blade sawing into my chest like she was opening a can of beans. But as she peeled pieces of me, I watched as dark veins began burning across her own skin. She was cheating. She thought doing it to someone else counted. It didn't. The last thing I saw before blacking out was her screaming as her own skin peeled itself off, strip by strip, like it had a mind of its own. She didn't die pretty. Once her skin was gone, her lungs melted, eyes liquefied, and that thing put her skin on like it had just picked up a new outfit. It walked away wearing her face, smiling. I woke up weeks later. Search party found me covered in blood, babbling about skin and stones. They thought I was just another hiker who got lost and watched her friends die. I still have the scars on my chest. Mara didn't finish the job, but she started it. Because sometimes, when I'm asleep, I dream of peeling skin and screams, and something inside me smiles.
We found his boot before we found the rest of him. The plan was simple. 3 of us. Me, my wannabe ranger cousin Travis, and our mutual friend Diesel, a walking hemorrhoid of a man with a GoPro permanently glued to his forehead. The idea? Hike into Appalachian country, get lit, and post fake Bigfoot sightings for TikTok. We started near the Virginia-West Virginia border. Not an official trail, mind you. Travis found it on some forum where people post secret hikes for extreme bushcrafting. It had a name, though. Hell's Hill. Not sure why they called it that when the mountain is massive. But to the hill we went. Locals at the gas station looked at us like we'd said we were gonna raw dog a bear. One guy, reeking of chew and beer, grabbed Diesel's arm.
"You go up in Hell's Hill, boy. You won't come down."
Diesel laughed.
That a threat or a challenge, Cletus?
Cue the big red flag we all ignored. The unofficial trail was fine, but wasn't all that impressive. So we veered off the path into the trees. The forest swallowed sound the deeper we went. No birds, no bugs, not even the scuffling of underbrush from animals. Just creaking wood like bones popping in the dark as the forest became denser. That's when Travis vanished. 1 second he was trailing behind me as always, gnawing on a protein bar, and next second, I heard a snap, muffled screams, then abrupt silence. We ran back, but it was like the mountain swallowed Travis whole. He was gone. That's when we saw the drag marks, 2 parallel lines in the ground as if he was digging his heels in to keep from being dragged back. We noticed the boot, his boot, splashed with blood about 10 yards out. Then we heard the noises. Wet, ripping sounds. I didn't need to see to know the tearing of meat when I heard it. He was gone, otherwise he would be screaming. Just as I was about to peek over the ridge to make sure that was the case, we heard them talking. A group of men. I couldn't hear what they were saying exactly, but I could hear the chewing and worse, the sounds people make when eating something especially tasty. It dawned on me that we were being hunted. Slowly, methodically, we moved back the way we came. Every muscle in my body screamed at me to go faster, but by what I heard, I knew there was way more of them than the 2 of us. Diesel was just stepping back onto the path we veered off of when we saw one. It was dusk, which made the forest seem otherworldly, which made its filthy skin stretched over a mutated frame stand out. Teeth like broken piano keys. Eyes too far apart with a nose that looks like it was bitten off. He was wearing a poncho made of stitched-together deer faces. My immediate thought was inbred. We all stood there for a heartbeat, until he stepped forward. We ran. Diesel went down screaming around dawn. His body hit the bottom like a sack of meat dumped off a roof. He fell into a pit of spikes covered in moss and leaves. I climbed down to try to get him out, but I knew before I even made that decision he wasn't going anywhere. He was skewered by sharpened branches everywhere. His legs, his stomach, his cheek. He didn't die right away. He begged me to shoot him. I would have to end his suffering, but I didn't have a gun. So I lied and told him how we would make it out while he choked on his blood. I ran until I couldn't see straight. I ended up collapsing under a tree and passing out. Woke up with mud in my mouth and something gnawing on my boot. It was a kid. Human, but I was right. He was inbred to all hell. Mouth all gums and scabs. He looked at me, still chewing my boot. He shifted to get more of a mouthful, and that's when I saw he was gripping a handful of hair. And the hair? It was attached to Travis's head. Just his head. I kicked the kid away, and just as I turned, I was hit in the face with what felt like a sledgehammer. They caught me, tied me to a thick branch like a rotisserie chicken and dragged me into a hollow filled with fires and screaming. The whole clan was there, at least 24 of them. One had a scalp hanging from his belt. Another woman rocked back and forth with a bowl of bloody teeth. Their leader, a big bear of a guy with an even bigger hump on his back, told everyone how the gods blessed them with meat. That's when he carved a chunk out of my arm and threw it into the crowd. I pissed myself after that. Noticing, he stepped even closer to me, took a deep breath, and smiled. He let me go. At first I couldn't believe it, but I found out soon it was only to play with me.
Run, piggy.
One hissed, his tongue too long for his jaw.
Give us something to chew on.
I ran, through a gauntlet of swinging blades, branches, and pit traps. I lost a toe when I fell after a lady swung an axe at me. I fell and skidded away on the ground as she swung down, but I wasn't fast enough. Severed it clean off. I got up and kept running. Something stabbed into my shoulder. I don't even know what. Could have been a jawbone, could have been a fork. Don't care. I made it to the edge of the tree line when I saw the creek. I was halfway across it when they burst through the trees. And they just stopped chasing. I collapsed into the creek before I made it across. I was found 3 days later by some backwoods ranger with a shotgun and a face like he'd seen hell take a piss. He didn't ask what happened, just handed me a wool blanket and said,
They don't leave past the creek. You're lucky the hill spit you back out. Most folks just stay.
Travis and Diesel. The search party found pieces, sure, but not where we were. It was as if they were placed near normal trails. A boot with Travis's foot still inside. A GoPro full of static and what sounded like someone humming, "She'll be coming round the mountain," in reverse. If you're thinking of going hiking on an unknown trail, don't. Because sometimes the unknown finds you first, and it wants to eat your fucking face.
We reached the summit, but the map said it didn't exist. Now it's erasing us, one by one. Day 4, the day we made it. We weren't amateurs. We'd bagged peaks from Rainier to Denali, had the gear, the legs, and the scars to prove it. But this was different. Unnamed Peak 51.77, a rumored summit west of Timberline Ridge. A Reddit user with the name ClimberGear0 posted about it once, in 2019. He said it wasn't on any map. He also never posted again. Naturally, we chased it like moths toward a fucking bug zapper. Me, the fuck it let's go chick. Lance, adrenaline junkie with death wish vibes. Parker, cheerful Instagram idiot. Z, quiet, analytical. Used to draw trail maps for fun, kinda creepy smart. We hiked for 3 days before we found it. Tall as hell, sharp as a tooth, not marked on the GPS. Z said the elevation was 13,048 feet. We named it Phantom's Crown. Then we celebrated, took pictures, drank lukewarm whiskey, yelled our names into the sky, and the wind screamed back. It was bliss. Day 5. Parker was gone, just Gone. Sleeping bag empty. Gear untouched. His food missing. We thought animal attack at first, but looking around it was clear he was not dragged away. Just gone. Then Lance asked,
Wait, who's Parker?
I stared at him. You know, Parker, dipshit in the orange fleece. Can't tie a proper bear hang to save his life. Z blinked.
Riley, who are you talking about?
It was like someone shot ice through my veins. What did they mean, who's Parker? Then I checked my phone. All the pics we took on the summit. Only 3 people. His orange fleece, our group photos, his fucking footprints. Gone. Even his name was gone from the trail log we made on day 1. Day 6. We hiked down in silence, too shaken to talk. Lance tried to joke it off.
Maybe we all have mountain rabies. Maybe there never was a Parker.
I almost laughed. Then I looked at the patch sewn on my pack. It used to say Riley. Now it said Lee. I felt something uncoil in my gut. Like part of me had already been cut off, and I hadn't noticed the bleeding. Z vomited behind a pine tree that afternoon. She pointed at the summit behind us, now barely visible through the fog.
It's not going to let us go.
She whispered. What? I said, stopping to check on her. She looked at me and said,
What?
We kept walking. Night 6. Lance wandered away from camp muttering,
You're not real. I'm not real.
Z called to him, but I told her to let him go. He probably just needs to piss. We found his boots next to the stream, laces untied. No prints beyond that. Z looked at me and asked,
Riley, why are you talking to yourself?
I laughed. Hard. Then I screamed until I threw up. Day 7. I woke up to Z scribbling names in a notebook over and over. She looked feral, hair everywhere, eyes sunken. What are you doing, buddy? I asked, walking to her slowly.
If I write my name enough times, maybe it'll stay. They won't take it. It'll stay.
She kept repeating this. I reached out and took her book. She let me. She was rocking back and forth saying, it'll stay. Every page had the name Z, then just the letter Z, and after that, just blank scribbles and blood smears. By nightfall, I couldn't remember her name either. Day 8. There was someone with me. I don't know who, but the book says someone was with me. But I'm alone now. I tried to hike out. No trail, just trees. Endless trees. And the summit? It was behind me again, somehow closer. My reflection in my water bottle had no face, no eyes, no voice, just a featureless blur where identity used to be. I laughed again. It was either that or chew off my fingers. Day. I don't know. Final entry. I woke up today and I'm having trouble remembering my name. I have my wallet, but my ID, blank. The name stitched into my sleeping bag. Faded. Or maybe this belongs to someone else. When I tried to say my name out loud, it came out as a cough, like I'd never had one. I know it's only a matter of time before I lose all of myself. If you find this notebook, if you're reading this, don't climb to the top. The last clear memory I have is climbing to the top of this mountain. Something happened up there, but I don't know what. But I know one thing. It's not a peak. It's a mouth. And every person who steps on its summit feeds it. Sincerely, me.
When we found the boots in the fire, they were still on somebody's feet. Nobody was supposed to be on Hellbender Trail. That stretch of forest was sealed a year ago after a mudslide wiped out half the ridgeline, and after 3 hikers disappeared. But early Friday, a beacon pinged the ranger station. One of those emergency GPS pings that hikers carry in case they get mauled or fall off a cliff. Problem was, no one had been issued a beacon out there in months. No permits, no gear checkouts. No one was supposed to be there. Probably some YouTuber trying to go viral, I muttered. Jess, the lead ranger, grabbed her medkit and shotgun.
If it's a dumbass, we rescue him. If it's a zombie, we shoot it.
We laughed. We had no idea what we were walking into. 8 hours of overgrown brush and vertical hell later, we found the campsite right as storm clouds rolled in. It was pristine. Tent pitched tight, bear bag hanging high, fresh-cut firewood stacked like Jenga, and right in the center, a fire pit, still burning. And in the pit, boots. Big steel-toed hiking boots, pointed to the sky. And they were attached to a fucking body in there. We rushed over. As we got closer, the fire flared. Both of us tried to grab his legs to pull him out, but as soon as we touched him, the flames grew leaping onto our sleeves. We quickly patted out the fire and tried again. And again it flared white hot. I grabbed my pack and yanked out my canteen, dumped it on the fire. Nothing. No hiss. No smoke. The water boiled off instantly, like the flames were hungrier than physics. Jess kicked piles of dirt over it. Still it burned. Finally we stopped, both noticing the damage and knowing it was too late. The torso was bubbling fat and splintered ribs that poked out from the fire pit like meat hooks. We stood there and watched in horror. Skin cracked like pork rinds. He was cooked, but not all the way, because suddenly he smiled. Teeth white against roasted skin, eyes dry and open. Oh shit. I took a step back.
It's just his skin shrinking back. Looks horrific, but he's gone.
Then the wind shifted and thunder cracked overhead. The clouds had gone black. Wind whipped the trees back and forth. We had no choice. We couldn't go back now, not with this area just beyond where we were being prone to landslides. We set up tents and stayed the night. Lightning cracked open the sky. We were both inside our tents when the rain came. I sat there, shivering, listening to the wind scream through the trees. And I watched the fire burn through the storm. Jess scared the shit out of me when her head popped into my view. She came in and sat next to me. We said it was because we couldn't hear each other over the rain pounding the tents. But we both knew it was because of the pit. We were kind of relieved when the rain started, thinking it would put out the fire. It didn't. It must be some sort of accelerant. Otherwise it would be out by now. She just shrugged. We tossed around some ideas. Maybe his body was full of beer and he passed our over the fire. Or a lighter exploded in his hand. We both knew no one else was around. We would have seen tracks in the mud on the way in and around the site. But there were only one set of tracks aside from ours. At some point, while I watched the rain come down on the flames that still covered the body, I passed out. Sometime past midnight I startled awake. The rain was still falling, but in soft sheets. And Jess was gone. I stumbled out of my tent, calling her name. And there she was, standing by the fire, staring into it. And the body was gone. "Jess?" I croaked. She didn't answer, just watched the flames like she was hypnotized. Then I heard it, running, heavy, fast, boots slamming into wet dirt behind me. I turned just as the man, that same burnt, grinning bastard, came barreling out of the dark straight at us. I froze. He didn't. He tackled Jess into the fire. She screamed, clawed at him. I grabbed her feet trying to pull her out, but it was like something was pulling back. And as they struggled, his body began to melt, liquefying like candle wax over her. He didn't burn. He fused to her. Thick clouds of smoke filled the air. My nose, my mouth, my eyes. She stopped screaming. I stood up, heart pounding. And then she went still, until she smiled. I ran. I don't know what the hell was happening, but I was gone. Got maybe halfway to the station before I collapsed. My lungs were smoke, my vision swimming. I vomited black sludge. And behind me, no matter how far I got, the fire never stopped glowing. That night, wet and freezing, I willed my legs to keep moving. Then I heard her voice, Jess, calling me back, begging me to come warm up by the fire. I didn't answer. I must have collapsed somewhere near the old landslide site. When I came to, I was lying on my stomach, half my face still in the mud. I could see broken trees that had been snapped in half, giant tree trunks splintered out of the mud. Everything looked surreal, especially the 3 fire pits in front of me. Flames danced over the bodies inside them, and as my vision cleared, they looked like the 3 hikers that vanished last year. It was hard to tell, though. Their faces were charred. They all were on their backs, in a row about 10 paces in front of me. My vision went in and out as I lay on the ground, half wishing the darkness would suck me back into unconsciousness. They turned to me then, all at once. I thought they were going to come for me. But that's when I heard it. Feet slapping against the mud, and the last thing I saw was Jess, a charred, melted, grinning mess, running towards me. When I woke up, it was to voices, radio chatter, and boots crunching in the wet leaves. 2 rangers. They said I'd been missing for 4 days, then asked where Jess was. I just shook my head. I tried to explain what happened. They blamed dehydration and delirium for the explanation I gave. They called for backup to move me out. I was relieved and saddened. I knew Jess would never make it out of the forest. That's when I heard them say they'd go back, that they needed to recover the body. I begged them not to. Explained there was something wrong with the land. They just smiled and shook their heads as if I had lost my mind. It's been 9 days since I was found. Jess and the 2 rangers are still missing.
And that's a wrap for these hiker horror stories. Thanks so much for listening. If you haven't already, tap that little notification bell so you never miss a new story. I drop videos every Sunday and Wednesday. If you have a story idea, a creepy scene, or a twisted element you'd love to hear, send it my way at holdyourbreathstories@gmail.com or drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Your support means the world, and I appreciate every single one of you. Well, until next time.